Five Senses is an SME established in 2006 and works towards providing quality products and services that target tourism, hospitality, culture and heritage, especially in the Mediterranean and neighboring countries. Its main purpose is to preserve, sustain and develop tourism, hospitality, culture and heritage products, service and knowledge content through local, EU and other international funding opportunities. Five Senses was selected as one of the partners of the Holy Grail project, Mystic Routes and Activities to Improve Local Tourism. This project was funded through the ENT CIP program of the European Commission and aimed to plan, promote and spread the Holy Grail spiritual and cultural route by identifying and selecting tangible elements like cathedrals and symbolic places, intangible elements like history, culture and traditions, as well as mysteries such as emblematic places describing characters, legends, historical figures and myths. This project was led by the University of Zaragoza and brings on board 8 international project partners from 5 countries, including Spain, Greece, Bulgaria, Malta and Great Britain. These partners include Comerca La Hasetania, Sargantana, Dirección General de Turismo, Government of Aragon, Technological Educational Institute of Crete, Birmingham University, University of West London and NGO My World. Malta was represented by Five Senses. The project proposes 2 possible routes that the Holy Grail has taken to reach its final resting place, where it is today, in the Cathedral of Valencia, Spain. One route is based on the Arthurian epic, where it is believed that the Holy Grail started its journey in the UK and travelled through France until it reached Spain. While the second route focuses on spirituality and religion, with the Holy Grail travelling by sea from Bulgaria to the Greek islands of Kos, Rhodes and Crete, and then across to Malta before reaching Spain. The project started in August 2014 and lasted 18 months until January 2016. During the project lifetime, a number of activities were implemented by the consortium. These include the organization of the kick-off meeting, second partners meeting, final conference, focus groups and training sessions. The preparation of country reports, Holy Grail and tourism experts, interview reports, the creation of the logo on a dedicated website, a comprehensive report on the Grail location and places of interest referred to as the Tourism Atlas, the creation of tourism networks, gastronomy, places of worship and other related places of interest identified within the Holy Grail route. The Holy Grail route in Malta was based on the historical fact that in 1312, at the Council of Vienne, the Templars were officially dissolved by Pope Clement V and turned over much of the property to the Knights Hospitaliers, possibly including the Grail. It is also said that some of the Knights Templar, remaining after the suppression, joined the Hospitaliers of Rhodes, who would move to Malta in 1530 and become known as the Knights of Malta. Another hypothesis is that the Knights of Rhodes received the Holy Grail from the Knights Templar, when the fury of the Pope and King Philip IV relentlessly came down on them, later on carrying the relic to the Maltese Islands when they settled here. Story goes that the Holy Grail is kept in one of the 365 churches and chapels scattered throughout the Maltese Islands. Following these hypotheses, a Holy Grail route for Malta was designed and included the following places. Grand Master's Palace. Situated in Palace Square, Valletta, Malta's capital city, the Grand Master's Palace has always been the house of government in Malta, first by the Knights, then the British, and now hosts the President's office. In the interior of the palace there is the famous council chamber, adorned with valuable Gobelin tapestries woven in France for Grand Master Ramon Perello's Irocaf. The other rooms and passages of the palace are splendidly furnished with art objects, old coat of arms and armour. Sacra Infermeria. The Sacra Infermeria, the Mediterranean Conference Centre, was built in 1574 under Grand Master de la Cassière and achieved fame as one of the most excellent hospitals of the period in Europe. Food was served by the knights themselves on silver plates, specimens of which together with ceramic pharmacy jars, may be seen at the National Museum of Fine Arts located in Valletta. The Infermeria has 6 wards, with the largest measuring 161 meters, believed to be one of the longest halls in Europe. St. John's Co-Cathedral. The Co-Cathedral is dedicated to St. John the Baptist, the patron saint of the Order of Knights Hospitalier of St. John. Commissioned in 1572 by Grand Master Jean de la Cassière as the conventual church of the order, it was designed by the celebrated Maltese military architect Gerolamo Cassà. The oratory features 2 Caravaggio paintings depicting the beheading of St. John of 1608 and St. Jerome III 1607-1608. Apart from Caravaggio's masterpieces, once into the church, the visitor can admire the splendid polychrome marble floor, which holds about 400 tombstones commemorating the knights. Today, the church is also a venue for cultural events and is one of the most popular cultural attractions visited by tourists in Malta. It is administered by the St. John's Co-Cathedral Foundation, which was set up in 2001 to ensure the churches and museums' conservation and preservation. Fort St. Angelo. Fort St. Angelo is a large fortification in the city of Birgu Malta, right at the center of the Grand Harbour, which became the seat of the Grand Master when the knights arrived on the island in 1530. During the Great Siege of 1565, it managed to repel a formidable Saracen armada, gaining its legendary status. In the 19th century, the British took over the fort to use it as a stone frigate and renamed it HMS Egmont, and later on HMS St. Angelo. It was last used for military purposes in 1979, and in 1998, the upper part of the fort, comprising the Magisterial Palace and St. Anne's Chapel, was handed back to the Sovereign Military Order of Malta as a sign of thanks by the Maltese government in recognition for the Knights' contribution towards Malta's rich cultural heritage. Wynia Court Museum. The Wynia Court Museum was originally a Baroque residence of the chaplains of the Knights of Malta, commissioned and inaugurated by Grand Master Alof de Wynia Court, 1601-1622, in the early 17th century, and then completed in 1749. In 1981, the building was converted to a museum housing exhibits accumulated from the old institution of the Knights, from St. Paul's Parish Church and its filial churches, and from private donors, including the art connoisseur Notary Francesco Catania, 1872-1960. The museum is located adjacent to Rabat's Parish Church of St. Paul and is physically linked to St. Paul's Grotto, the place where, according to tradition, St. Paul the Apostle took refuge after his shipwreck on the Maltese Islands in Annus Domini 60. The Citadel. The Citadel, also called Cittadella and Gran Castello in the medieval era, lies on a promontory overlooking the city of Rabat, Victoria Gozo. The archaeological record of the fortifications indicates that this naturally defended hilltop hosted a small urban or proto-urban settlement, at least as early as the Bronze Age. Given its central location within Gozo, the settlement grew to become the administrative center of the island in Phoenician and Roman times. The north side of the citadel dates back to the period of the Aragonese, while the south flank, overlooking Rabat Victoria, was constructed under the Knights of St. John between 1599 and 1603. The Knights used the citadel as a place of shelter for the population in times of trouble. Most of the buildings inside the citadel are in ruins, but the old courts of law and the old governor's palace are still used as the law courts of Gozo. Five Senses has collaborated with Mr. Dane Munro, an independent scholar, lecturer, culture interpreter and guide based in Malta, for this prestigious project. Mr. Munro explained some of the main myths and legends relevant to the Holy Grail. He also participated in the Holy Grail conference in Jaca, Spain, and delivered a lecture during the training session in Malta.
The Holy Grail project is an important one because it can, for tourism in any case, it can link myth and legends and narratives together. It can fuse them and can link them not only between the countries themselves but also between all the sites and the objects, for instance, found in Malta. We always need new tourism programs which can link our cultural heritage to the wider world. Now, the Holy Grail is one of those programs. And of course, Malta is a particular country because I think Malta has possibly the oldest cultural heritage of Europe. The added value of the Neolithic period fusing with the period of the Knights of St. John is that, of course, the period becomes wider and also more interesting for the Maltese history. We can assume the program events, of course, that in the Neolithic time a cup was made as a reward for the most deserving person. This cup went through the world or throughout the world and eventually came in Jerusalem where it landed on the Last Supper table. Then, of course, after it was touched by Christ, it became the most valuable instrument or cup ever. And the Knights of the Templars were the custodians of the cup. But they lost that custodianship when they were together with the Knights of St. John in Cyprus. The Knights of St. John, by circumstances, took over and brought back the cup to Malta, where it is now hidden in plain sight in one of the Maltese Neolithic museum. Linking the Order of St. John and the Neolithic creates a fabulous route through Malta. We can start, for instance, with Valletta. In Valletta we have of course, Grand Master's Palace, there is the St. John's Cathedral, but there is also the National Museum for Archaeology. And that is where one can see a sample of a cup which could have been the Holy Grail, a very Maltese Holy Grail. Then, of course, the route continues and ends up in Gozo, where, of course, there's the Cittadella, there are the temples of the Scantia, and, of course, there's a small visitors center. The importance of a created narrative and an invention is that it can spark imagination. And, of course, that is what our visitors need. The normal interpretation might be in order, historically correct, but it might not spark off a question. And of course, the power of interpretation is that it has to spark and set something ablaze. So, then you end up going on a road trip with the whole family, for instance. You'll be driving around Malta and you'll be visiting all the various sites where you can see things in a new light, which you could not have imagined before. So the narrative is important, that it supports people in their fantasies, because it's not really what really happened, it's important. What is important is what the visitor thinks what could have happened. And it brings you to very small villages where the local communities, for instance, can also enjoy the program as such that renewed interest in their community might also spark off some new commercial entity, and that would be, of course, to the benefit of the local communities.
Five Senses prides itself on being involved in projects for sustainable tourism and aims to use tourism as a force for economic, cultural and social change, supporting the delivery of successful projects in a way that ensures benefits for all visitors, local communities and stakeholders. Five Senses has been the ideal partner for the Holy Grail project, since it is committed to promote Malta's rich cultural heritage by providing the persons visiting Malta with new experiences and insights into the unique and different culture. Five Senses has links with stakeholders from the tourism sector and also boasts a network of qualified expert researchers able to conduct research on such a specific topic. Five Senses plans to collaborate on many more such projects in the near future.